We're joined now by William Courtney. He's an adjunct senior fellow for the RAND Corporation and a former U.S. ambassador to Kazakhstan and Georgia. Good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Well, it seems that a number of expulsions are near or close to even are coming from both Russia, the U.S., and NATO-affiliated countries. With tensions escalating, what do you expect next, either publicly or in some clandestine way?
Well, expulsions have pretty much run their course now. There have been several sallies of expulsions, if you will. Both sides get hurt by expulsions. The Russian side, in particular, has lost 4 major facilities in the United States that the U.S. administration has said were used for intelligence purposes. This is really a body blow to Russian intelligence collection. I wouldn't be surprised to see Russia change, and also the West change, to areas where they have asymmetrical advantage. Russia has asymmetrical advantages with cyber attacks, cyber espionage. The West with economic power. British Prime Minister Theresa May has talked about banning the use of the London financial market for Russian issuance of sovereign bonds.
Pretty serious. I want to bring your attention to this tweet that we had today from the State Department, which says, with its regrettable, unwarranted decision today, it is clear that Russia is not interested in dialogue about issues that matter to our two countries. Russia is further isolating itself following the brazen chemical attack in the UK. President Trump largely silent himself on social media. No public comment. What do you make of that?
Well, there may be some differences of perspective inside the administration, certainly in terms of hopes. For example, in the recent telephone call between President Trump and President Putin, there was discussion of a possible summit meeting. I think President Putin would really like to see that summit meeting, perhaps President Trump as well.
We can't talk about this without looking at what's happened in the past and what has brought us to this point, right? The wars in Syria, Ukraine, the annexation of Crimea, meddling in the elections in the U.S., assassination of Kremlin foes in Russia and abroad, cyber attacks, disinformation creeping up into campaigns in other countries. Who are Russia's largest allies at this point moving forward? What does this mean for them?
This is a problem. The Soviet Union did not have allies, true allies, and Russia doesn't really have them either. So each time Russia keeps pushing the envelope, being more aggressive or assertive in various areas, it tends to lose support from other countries. For example, non-Russian republics that are neighbors of Russia are not rushing to defend the the Kremlin with regard to the Skripal poisoning. As you say, it's the accumulation of these issues, Olympic doping even, that has caused the West to become more angry.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he's worried. He says U.S.-Russia relations have deteriorated to the point that he is worried about another Cold War. Are we there?
We may be in a sort of Cold War, but not quite so serious as during the real Cold War. For example, our militaries are not postured opposite each other in nearly the same confrontational way as they were in those days. Now the war is more hybrid. It's more so-called active measures, propaganda, disinformation, subterfuge. For Russia, the problem is that its economy is sagging, and yet it's pushing on these foreign adventures. There's some sentiment now in Russia among ordinary people. Why is Russia spending so much money on foreign adventures when there are economic problems at home?
What do you expect to happen over the next month or so? We've got the talks coming up with President Trump possibly in North Korea, or the Democratic DPRK. How is this factoring into all of this?
North Korea is an increasing priority now for the White House, so that may cause the United States to pay a little bit less attention to Russia now until the North Korea summit takes place. But overall, Russia is dealing from a weaker position than the West is. The West has never been so united on sanctions with regard to the Ukraine invasion, and united now on Skripal poisoning. This is something that Russia really hasn't had to contend with for a long time.
All righty. Well, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Always great to see you.
You're welcome, Susan. Thank you.